Okay, well, great. I'm glad to hear it. What's on your mind this morning? Well, unforgivable. They switched it to S.O.S. Well, they're playing Oklahoma City. Well, the experts are saying that there's some injury situation going on with Paul George, and there's a lot of criticism of what Russell Westbrook is able to do or not do. Lead the team or not lead the team, or his style of play is it conducive to the play, for a team effort. I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, it looks like Portland's going to take care of Oklahoma City, but certainly when you get these first round matchups, and especially in the Eastern Conference where there's several teams who really don't even deserve to be in the playoffs, yeah, they're probably not going to be great series. It happens. Hey, just lightly tap the microphone. You're going to leave that. Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's going to be, some years you have some really good first round series. Some years you don't. This could be one of the years where you don't. One more time. So, well, hopefully if these rest of these first round games aren't very good, hopefully at least we'll see some really good second round series, I guess. I couldn't say that I've noticed any drop off on how their marketing and stuff. You got one thing you got to remember. Unforgivable. This is the first year of the NBA playoffs without LeBron James. First year without LeBron James. So no. That's like saying it's the NBA without Michael Jordan, or that's like saying it's the Masters without Tiger Woods. It's Tom Brady. Exactly. So their biggest player, whether or not he's only in one series, but he's still the guy that everybody wants to see and keep up with. And you're watching the other series, so you can say, oh, well, LeBron, he can take care of that team, or he can take care of that team. Well, he's not in the playoffs, so it's it's people are like, yeah, well, LeBron's not in it, so we're not that we'll get concerned when it gets closer to the finals because I mean they're like I said they're in there, but they're not the top two or three guys in the NBA. I mean, right now you're looking at your top NBA guys are Curry and Durant. Well, they're on the same team, and everybody assumes they're going to be in the finals. You've got Harden and Chris Paul. They're on the same team. People are assuming they're going to get through the first round. And then you're talking about who in the Eastern Conference you got. I mean, Philadelphia is I don't know if they what makes you call their guys big stars, but there's no LeBron James in the East. Kawhi Leonard is in Toronto, but he's not a big star. He's a great player, but he's not charismatic. He's not doing a ton of commercials. People don't get excited about Kawhi Leonard. So, all right, don't forget. Well, let me let you go here. I got to get back here with Jay and get some stuff going. See if we can make this show sound right. All right, Jay, you there with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, not bad.
I think I got it worked out.
All All right.
Still a little home.
All it took was a little tantrum.
That's all it took.
You got it.
It just takes a couple of seconds. I wish that they would leave it the way they found it. But that's just, what can you do? We're efforting to improve and get it together. All right, what?
Ira, the Spurs won, and I'm not talking about Tottenham.
Yeah, I know. I didn't figure you were. You're talking about the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, you and Unforgetful even mentioned that? That's a big one.
We didn't talk about any specific games, but yeah, it is a big one. And, they stole the game in Denver, so now they got the big advantage. So now Denver's got to come back and get a game in San Antonio.
Well, yeah, but San Antonio won last night, so they're up 2-1.
Right, I'm saying they've got the big advantage too, yeah. So, but Denver comes back and gets a game in San Antonio, and you're right back to
where you started.
even street.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, and the Warriors won big time, big league.
Yeah, the Warriors, they really put the screws to them last night. Durant-esque. 27 points in the first half. It's pretty ridiculous. LA Clippers, I mean, they're a decent team. It's interesting, this year, more than the years past with Stock Rivers, LA Clippers, the Clippers really are more of a team this year, but they don't have the star power.
Yeah, 38 points in the blowout for KD.
How many minutes is that?
I'll look at that.
Like I said,
29.
Yeah, not that. Yeah, exactly. He didn't play so many minutes, and then he was just off the hook, man. He was hitting everything. I think he wasn't happy with something that happened in one of those games.
He doesn't seem happy. Period.
Yeah, I know. He really doesn't.
He seems grumpy. He's mad at the media. He's mad at the. He just seems mad.
I don't know what his beef is.
Which, I get it.
I don't.
Hang on. Money Pit. It's Money Pit.
It is Money Pit.
Nice.
I got that just for you.
That's very good. Very good.
Yeah, I don't know how. I guess I can understand why a professional ball player can be upset. He can be upset for any number of reasons. The rest of us are upset. Things cost money. You got issues with your lady friend. Your parents are giving you a hard time. Whatever it is. But once you're on the court and you're doing your job, how can you not love the fact that you're making $50 million a year for being a really good basketball player?
Yeah, have some fun.
Yeah, try and have some fun. I mean,
yeah, you're getting paid like $100,000 a game.
Yeah, and then they're talking
really
about
more than that, probably.
Right. I can't remember who they were talking about in the last. It was the last regular season game, and they were talking about somebody getting suspended potentially for the first game of next season, and they're like, yeah, well, it may not make that big of a difference in the scheme of things, but it's also like $172,000 game check. And I'm like, that would be nice,
Yeah.
to wake up and say, yeah, if I go play basketball today and I'm not suspended, then I'm gonna pick up 172 GER.
Your game checks for the Tiger baseball not quite that high?
Not yet. I'm on a scale where after this season I'll be increased to $13.15 a game.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting later with Alan Graff and all the other big boosters over there to talk about your deal.
Something tells me they're not going to want to discuss my deal. Yeah, I figured we needed a myriad of laughs to go with Dino and the crew.
That was Revenge of the Nerds.
No.
Wait, do it again.
Murphy.
Oh, that's Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, from Beverly Hills 1.
It did sound a little bit like Louis Skolnick.
It did a little bit, yeah. I'll have to get their laugh going too. I'll have to find that a good one. But it's funny, it was hard to find a good Eddie Murphy laugh soundbite.
Yeah.
Everyone I tried to find on YouTube, people, instead of just having the laugh on there, they try to make it like Murphy Axel Foley remix.
Yeah.
So they cut his laughs together to the tune of the Axel Foley music. It was like, come on, man, just give it a laugh.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I found that I thought was pretty good.
That's almost like Holka because it's sort of like
Yeah,
an older man. Do it again.
Yeah, that's
This is good. The screech at the beginning.
All
right, tell me.
That one is J.K. Simmons, one of the best character actors
Yeah.
in America, from the Spider-Man movie. The one with
Never even seen it.
Tobey Maguire.
It's good though.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. It's a good laugh.
I like J.K. Simmons though.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor.
He was good in Extract. Did you like that movie?
Was that with Jason Bateman?
Yeah, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman,
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis. Jason Bateman pays the pool guy to sleep with his wife.
Yeah, what? I really barely got through it.
I think he was trying to pay the pool guy to sleep with his wife so he'd feel less guilty about trying to have an affair. But then as he like came to his senses or whatever, he was like somebody had spiked his drink or something. I don't know. But the pool guy slept with his wife anyway.
Yeah.
And he was pissed.
I can't really remember like the whole thing.
I may be wrong on some key details there, but that's the basic gist of it.
Yeah, sounds about right. I just don't remember that well. I only saw it one time, even if I got through the whole thing.
Ira, what else do we have on tap today?
I have no idea.
We got.
I count on you to bring something good to the table.
Have you read the Mueller report?
Word to word, cover to cover. That's the report on global warming.
Yeah, we have. In addition to maybe getting into that, we have Ira some college basketball coaching news.
Oh yeah,
if you're interested.
I did want to mention that. I saw something.
Yeah.
Very shocking this morning.
You talking about St. John's?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can get into that. That is shocking, interesting, and some other stuff.
All right, we'll take a quick break and then we will continue on with the Eye on Sports with Meatball Jones, the Easter Passover pregame edition. All right, so we'll be right back after what?
No, that's it.
After this.
Nice.
Yeah, I got all, got a bunch of Beverly Hills copies today.
Man, you've been working.
I'm always working, man.
It's impressive, Ira.
Loving the Lord is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Ira, here's a story that's right up your alley.
Is it about, no, never mind.
It's college women's hoops, and
Now we're talking.
it involves race. It involves anything with women's sports involves gender, so it's yeah. Technically, anything involving any gender involves gender.
True.
The North Carolina women's coach, you see this story?
No.
She was forced to resign, or she did resign,
Yeah.
amid allegations of berating players, and racial remarks. The gist of the allegation, you hear this a lot in sports, men's, women's, whatever. A lack of compassion or a lack of willingness to believe injured players. So apparently during a recent season, 2017, they had 4 injured players on the Tar Heel women's team. And they were all sitting out at practice one day, and she just kicked them all out of practice because just looking at them, quote, made her sick. And a few months later, one of the injured kids called her parents crying, saying that the coaches had made her run sprints before she was ready to come back, and she apparently re-injured the knee and missed the whole year.
Okay, well, and that's something that is certainly, the crime part is not really relevant, but yes, certainly you would trust that the training staff would overrule a coach in a situation like that.
Right.
And be looking out for the player's safety.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not great. But I always think about what the illustrious coach James Caan said in the movie The Program.
Please.
When Jefferson gets knocked off his tail in the first practice, he says, "Jefferson, are you hurt or are you injured?"
Right.
He said, "What do you mean, coach?" He said, "Well, if you're hurt, you can play. If you're injured, you can't."
Yeah.
He goes, "No, I'm just hurt, coach." He said, "All right, well, then get back out there."
Yeah, 6 players told parents they had been pressured by coaches or the team doctor to take painkillers, keep playing.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Especially, in the pros, whatever, dope them up. That's fine with me. That's their job. It's not that that's a good thing. I'm not trying to make it out to be a good thing, but if there's a guy out there it's a business. They'll find the next guy. They don't care. In college, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
These are children. I mean, yes, I understand they're legally adults, but were you an adult at age 19?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Are we adults?
Yeah,
at
I was
age
about to say, arguably.
At 40?
I'm 41.
Question.
I have my adult moments. Yeah, this goes on and on. The Washington Post really did a pretty deep expose on this program. So this lady's out. She's out.
Next to go, Roy Williams.
Yeah, there's this. You just get the feeling that generationally, everyone's getting pushed out.
Well, you can't be old school anymore. You can't get away with it.
No.
Unless every single kid that plays for you comes out and says, no, we prefer it this way.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing. I was listening to a talk radio yesterday on my way back from Nashville.
And Travis?
No, it wasn't Clay. It was some national, but it wasn't sports. It was more politics. And they were talking about American prosperity, and there was a politician recently, I won't even name who it is, just kind of a lightning rod, but that said, nobody in the current generation of kids has even witnessed any American prosperity. And the talk show host was taking the opposite opinion that actually.
What do they mean by that?
I don't know. I guess that, that there's that America's fallen upon hard times economically this person was coming from a left position, so maybe income inequality or, moral leadership decayed throughout the world through a bunch of useless wars.
They think these are new things, but they're not. So, yeah,
well, the talk show host was taking the opposite opinion that all this generation, there's no generation has known no world war,
no recession, no depression.
we did have a slight recession, but yeah, no major depression, and I guess it was more than slight, but yeah, so it's just sort of an argument over like, do we have it good or do we have it bad? And I think his argument was that the younger generation's entitled. So I don't know. Change is a coming. Change is a coming. I'm middle aged now.
I don't know what changes are coming. We'll see how that plays out. Tell you how major of a change is coming.
All right, it's
So,
yeah. This is what we're dealing with in our digital media environment where everybody gets their own story. So nobody sees the situation even close to the same anymore in anything.
you're right about that.
That's the deal. You got sports, politics, whatever. Everyone's got their own like unique and individualized take on things, and it's splintering. Anyway,
I hate
so did you read the Mueller report?
No, I didn't read the Mueller report, but I did see the report where Mike Anderson is very close to becoming the next coach of St. John's.
Yeah, the Anderson report is out. Yeah, he's in negotiations. Mike Anderson.
I prefer to call it the Carnesecca report.
Okay, the Carnesecca report is out, and after being rejected by the head coach of Loyola Chicago, Iona and Loyola, I mean both.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, Porter Moser, the head
I
coach.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think some others. Oh, like Maryland, Baltimore County, that dude.
Oh, UMBC? What did you say so?
Yeah, all three just passed. They went the wash-up route, and they went with Mike Anderson, which that's an interesting. I'd be shocked if he didn't have some success there. He's not from there.
Right, and that's really that really for me that's the big question. And no one's saying you can't be from the South or the Midwest and go to New York and succeed. But the difference is like you can go to college at University of Memphis and be from Memphis and live in Memphis your whole life, and go to New York and be a stockbroker, or go work in the tech field or go work in the medical field, whatever it is. In basketball, you have to have connections to the grassroots levels, connections to the high schools, and you're talking about a tri-state area of, I don't know, 20 something million people. It's not, it's not the easiest thing to try and break in as an outsider. Well, hopefully he's going to have the right assistants to help him, run the show. But if he comes up there with the same, Missouri, Arkansas, UAB, crew brings with him, it might be tougher than he thinks to recruit the types of players he needs.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody knows it. It's funny. It's one of those things you see it from the outside, and it's obvious. You got to hire somebody locally, get out of your comfort zone. Just like when Tubby came here, everyone's like, "You really should shake up your staff a little bit." Yeah. And some guys are they're old enough, they're stubborn, they're old school. They feel like they don't need to do that. They can find guys, they can coach them up, and it doesn't always work out that way. Here's another college basketball story, Ira, that has some effect on Memphis. Did you see the AAC and the SEC signed a scheduling agreement?
No.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool deal. The SEC, Southeastern Conference, and the AAC have created a scheduling alliance. Men's basketball scheduling agreement to play 4 games. It's kind of like a classic, but not really a classic because it's only 4 games. But 4 games each year against one another,
So
like a home and home.
How about is it basketball?
Yeah, it's basically
an ACC challenge.
Yeah, so
their 4 worst teams against our 4 best teams, probably.
Maybe. And the truth of it is, they play the Big 12 in the in a classic, but the Big 12 only has 10 teams. So there's 4 teams that don't get to play.
That's true.
So that's what it's going to be.
Okay. Well, I guess there's.
Yeah.
So I wonder which 4.
So participating teams and matchups will be announced in May. It's exciting.
It could be exciting. I mean, I guess even their worst team is. I mean, this year was Vanderbilt. Even if it was, Memphis Vanderbilt on a Tuesday night on ESPN would be decent enough.
Well, the interesting thing is, apparently last year Auburn didn't play in this Big 12 thing.
Okay.
And they weren't one of the worst teams the year before. They had won the league, so it's not always the worst.
No, that's true. That's what I was gonna say. They're gonna rotate, but I don't know what I'm saying. Even if it's the worst,
Right.
you can't. You know, the SEC is not gonna be that bad.
Yeah.
On any given year, yes, that team could be bad. You know, for Vanderbilt was
Yeah.
certainly bad last year. You know, Georgia has been bad in years.
Yeah.
They've all been bad in certain years. So it'll probably be interesting. You know about Memphis, Natty, uh,
Well,
Wichita probably.
yeah. The good news is it's hard to get home and homes with teams from the SEC for most AAC schools.
Yeah.
Memphis can do it with Tennessee. We can do it with Ole Miss, Arkansas in the past. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So we'll see. We'll see if Memphis is even part of it. It's only 4 teams.
Well, I mean, I'm sure like the SEC does, we're gonna have to rotate.
Yeah, they're going to want the most attractive team. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And we'll find out next month.
Something new, which is nice.
Yeah, we love new. New is good.
Can be good.
Yeah.
New could be good.
Hey, Ira, Rob Pelinka, Lakers general manager, is meeting with Ty Lue today.
There's a great retread idea.
That's a terrible idea.
No kidding.
Like, just call them just change the name to Cleveland and go get Juwan Howard, or whoever that other bum was that was on the.
What now?
Who was on LeBron's last? Not Juwan Howard. Help me out here. Smith, J.R. Smith. Was it J.R. Smith? Who was the guy that threw the ball away on the last finals game against Cleveland or against Golden State?
Oh yeah, J.R. Smith. But he's not a coach though.
No, I know. I meant just like to put on the team. Just do Cleveland again.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's a joke.
What's his name? Kyle Korver.
Yeah. So that's what Lakers are doing.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. They gotta. I don't know what they gotta do. I'm hoping they don't end up in the situation with LeBron that they were in at the end of when they had Karl Malone and Gary Payton and Steve Nash, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go out and win the title, but all those guys were like 38 and barely functioning. They are some of them hardly played.
Yeah.
And it just didn't.
Wasn't that the same year that Kobe had his rape trial in the playoffs?
I don't know if that was the same year or not.
I feel like it was, but the New York Post is chiming in on this Mike Anderson story and says St. John's bubbling search ends with a question mark hire.
Well, that's usually what happens when the search is bubbling. It's going to be a question mark. You got to hire somebody.
Yeah, you do.
Give me a break, man.
Ira, we didn't quite get to it yesterday. The Grizzlies front office moves.
Yeah, we did not get to it yesterday.
Rich Cho, former
yeah.
GM at Portland and Charlotte,
Yeah.
and Glenn Grunwald.
Oh, Glenn Grunwald.
Yeah, former GM of Toronto and New York.
And both of them had decent success.
Decent. Apparently well regarded in the league for various reasons.
But their roles, the questions would be what their roles.
Okay, so Cho is going to be the analytics guy.
But that's what Hollinger did.
Yeah, well, Hollinger's been reassigned.
Yeah, he's going to work from home somewhere else.
Correct. Cho's going to be in Memphis, and Grunwald's going to work from home. And apparently he's like the relationships guy. So, relationships with people throughout the league, et cetera, et cetera. And they're not done. They say they're going to hire more people. And of course, they have to hire a coach. So,
yeah, well, I think they're going to finish the front office before they go for the coach.
Yeah, but the guy running the front office is a 30-year-old lawyer.
Yeah, Zach
Kleinman. Yeah. You see him on Saturdays?
No. It's after hours activities.
Right. Kleinman, Wexler. It's quite a team they got going on over there.
Well,
What is this? What do we got here?
It's a shakedown by Bob Seeger.
Oh, good.
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Are we going to break? Or are we just playing it?
We're going to break.
Oh, okay.
Eventually.
All right. Well, we might have some more on that front office situation if we can dig it up before we come back.
Yeah, I want to hear about the Mueller report.
Oh, you do?
Is that Gary Mueller, the former Michigan coach?
Yeah, it's a report on his program.
Him and Lloyd Carr.
His yeah, he made guys with torn ACLs run sprints.
Well, they should.
I remember this one. This is Beverly Hills Cop 2.
I think Neutron Dance is from Beverly Hills 1.
Yeah. You busted.
This is a great song.
Yeah.
Whether you like the movie or not.
You figure they're coming out with Beverly Hills Cop 4 at some point, right?
I think they've announced it, actually.
Are you kidding? Oh, I was kidding.
Hopefully it'll be much better than Beverly Hills 3.
Yeah, 3 is always a downturn in the series.
There's only one thing you need to know about Beverly Hills 3. It was PG-13.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
No, not with an Ed Murphy movie.
No.
It's either got to be like a kids movie or, a full-on, 48 hours, 48 hours Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Type thing. They might make it good, but I doubt it. Let's see, number 3 in the series. What was Lethal Weapon 3? Lethal Weapon 3 was the one where they're dealing with the former cop. He's the cop killer. The armor-piercing bullets.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's not so good. Not compared to number 2 with the South Africans and the Cougarans.
I don't.
That's Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 1 with Gary Busey, Mr. Joshua. They're dealing drugs, former Army unit.
How about Fletch 3? Is that coming out?
No, Kevin Smith was talking about a remake years ago, but that didn't ever happen.
Let's not.
All right, let's take a break. We can talk about that. All right, Eye on Sports, Meatball Jones, the pre-Easter Passover edition. Will be right back.
Y'all got games this weekend?
So because of Easter, they didn't want to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So they canceled yesterday. They're playing a game today at 4:30. I'm not going, obviously, because it's Seder. And then doubleheader on Saturday. Starting at noon. It's gonna kind of suck, but whatever. You're gonna love the song I got coming up in a second.
Sweet. right. Yeah. It's good. It's good, Ira.
Oh yeah. A little stir it up from Stephanie Mills from the Fletch soundtrack.
Yeah. Mm.
Definitely an underrated soundtrack.
Wait, this is part one, right?
I'm sorry, this is Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I was gonna say you said
No,
Fletch,
I
but
know.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of the song. What's the song? I put another song on here from Fletch. What's the? Oh, that's what it was. I put Bit by Bit on here.
Bit by bit, one way or another.
Yeah, I put it on here. See what it
Yeah.
That's what I meant to play.
Woo, baby.
We tired?
Yeah, as you may tell, as you may have noticed, Ira, I'm I'm a little worn out today, psychologically, physically. Was was home for the first night last night. And we won't get into the sleeping details, but it wasn't great.
We can save this.
Yeah.
Spare detail.
Yeah, it wasn't terrific. I've got stuff broken this morning. I couldn't get my computer working. Work stuff.
You needed those.
Yeah, that would
Clear you right out.
probably get me in a better frame of mind doing a little physical exercise.
You got big plans for this holiday weekend?
Well, we're going out to we're doing the family shank bone situation tonight.
Okay.
That's tonight, right?
Yeah,
Night one or two?
Night one is the night.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I'll be having some bitter herb tonight, some shank bone,
Oh man.
some charoset.
You know, that's a song I should have hooked up with Sweet Leaf by Ozzy Osbourne. The bitter herb.
Yep, some bitter herb tonight, and beyond that, I have no idea. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's festive.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
We got the little nephews in town. It's gonna be a raucous affair.
Yeah, and we cross over, so it's a busy weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah. So and Jay, you were just asking the break about men baseball. They canceled yesterday's game. There'll be a game today at 4:30. I unfortunately will not be there on the call, but tomorrow you can have a full day's worth of Ira on the VA. Come off the FedEx Park starting at noon. It'll be a double header against the two-lane Green Wave with special guest third base coach Mike Dunleavy.
Yeah, well, maybe Ron Hunter will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. He's probably got some other stuff going on. So I don't think we have any big recruiting updates. We're still waiting on the Tigers to land.
I don't like all these kids delaying as long as they're delaying. Like, okay, they added the new signing period, right? The early signing period
Yeah.
for basketball. And then in previous years it was like on that date, you sign on that date or within a few days of that date. And now it's like these guys are like trying to drag it out. They're trying to get extra attention. I guess that's what they're trying to do.
Well, I don't know if I was saying this on the air to you or to somebody else, but the reason, did we talk about Antoine Jones transferring on the air? Even if we did
briefly.
Yeah, briefly now. I think it's obvious to me anyway that what happens is the more these guys can be recruited, the more numbers of times that they can be recruited, the more they're going to get paid. And that is no longer like casting aspersions. Oh my God, you shouldn't say that because you don't know. We do know. That's what happens. They get paid. Like we.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I thought it was something different.
Ira, yeah.
No, you're right. They do. They give you more opportunities. So how many, when you enter the transfer portal, or you're a graduate and you have an extra year eligibility, any idea how many extra visits you get to take?
Oh, I think that's really dependent on, well, there's two caps on visits, right? One is the school's cap, right? You only have so many officials.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, I bet you it's probably, I don't know, but you're probably right that there is one, maybe 3, 5, something like that.
Do we know where Antoine Jones is going?
No.
Heard anything about it?
No.
Yeah, Yeah, you know, they were talking about, somebody was talking about yesterday about David Nickelberry, you know, he had committed to go to Idaho.
I thought he was at. Where is David Nickelberry?
I think he went to a junior college
Oh, okay.
last year, and then someone said he had committed to go to Idaho.
You know what's funny about David Nickelberry?
The reason they were talking about in regards to how all these players, the player movement affects APR.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, what about Nickelberry?
What's funny about David Nickelberry is I had not thought of him since the day he left. Didn't cross my mind. Yeah. Hadn't thought about old.
That's what you were thinking of when you were thinking about Nickelberry?
That's Walter.
Yeah, what a Walt.
What's Walter's last name, Ira?
Walter. I was going to say Peck, but that's the Peck from Ghostbusters.
Right.
Mr. Pecker here.
Hey, speaking of callers to the show, you know who I ran into last night, Ira?
Please tell me.
Terry.
Yeah, Terry. I ran into Terry yesterday in traffic.
Did you really?
Not literally.
Right, you ran him over?
We didn't like hit cars or anything, but I saw him in traffic yesterday.
We were leaving old Las Delicias over on Park, or excuse me, over on Quince, not Park.
Oh, okay.
Ran into Terry and his lovely bride.
Kids?
I think so. Yeah, there were a lot of kids running around.
You would know.
Yeah.
Kids were running around.
Apparently, you got to speak up a little bit. I'm getting texts that can barely hear you.
They can barely hear me?
Yeah, I don't know why. I can hear you just fine.
Well, I know that's different. All right, well, hopefully they can hear me now. Glad they waited till 8:52 to text you.
I think she just got in the car.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thanks, darling. Appreciate it. What?
Darling. That's great.
I mean, your mic is like lower than mine. I don't know why.
I don't know.
I'm not a technical wizard, but we got it under control. Hopefully they can hear me. Hopefully they can hear me now.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me quickly, since you follow this nonsense, what's the Mueller report? Give me the gist of it.
So as you know, the Robert Mueller was the special prosecutor appointed to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 election, which definitely happened. There's no doubt about that. For anyone that doesn't follow it at all. And, you know, that was significant because Trump had denied that for a long time. But that, according to Mueller anyway, definitely happened. Everyone agrees on that.
Okay.
And, you know, for 2 years, a lot of the media was obsessed with this idea that Trump was in cahoots with the Russians because they had compromising material on him, right?
Better phrase. In cahoots or kudos?
I'll go with in cahoots.
I agree. Kudos has got to go.
Because the double O.
Beautiful. Anyway.
And so the report did not establish that. They said they did not find that that's true. That Trump had any, which if you used common sense all along.
Why would you do that?
Right. If you're Vladimir Putin and you have the world's best spies and hackers and everybody else at your fingertips, and you want to interfere in the U.S. election, why do you need Donald Trump Jr.'s help?
You don't.
Or Roger Stone. I don't know if you know anything about
Roger Dodger?
Roger Stone is this like washed up political hack, you know, adjacent to Trump. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
that was, anybody with common sense knew that was coming, but there are a lot of Americans that, in my opinion, were kind of caught up and convinced to believe otherwise. And so, but they, you know, they're not completely, they didn't go, the liberals didn't come away from yesterday empty-handed if they were believing in that conspiracy theory, because there were apparently multiple crimes uncovered in this investigation that have been farmed out to other federal courts to investigate, and those were redacted out, so nobody really knows what those were. So there could be a lot more.
Basically, there's not going to be any impeachment.
Not imminently.
Not probably ever.
and none that would be successful. Like nobody's under any illusion that there would be some successful impeachment.
Right.
The House of Representatives, which is in Democratic control, could decide to move forward with impeachment hearings.
Correct.
They could even vote to impeach the president, but it's going nowhere because Republicans want nothing to do with it. And even some Democrats came out yesterday and said this would be a waste of time. There's an election in a year, and 6 months from now or whatever it is. So just go ahead and try to elect this guy, or unelect this guy. Elect somebody else. What are you laughing about over there?
First of all, did you see this thing on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter is an interesting
Twitter
platform.
is the worst thing ever. The apparent fart causing distress.
I did see that. I didn't want to bring that up, but now that you've brought it up.
I don't know who number 11 is for the Sixers. I guess I could find that out. Let's see, NBA basketball scores, Sixers, roster. Number 11. Who's number 11? Let's see.
Well, I don't know that he's the guy that did the deal.
Yeah. Oh, Memphis's own James Ennis III walks over to the bench to say something to the guys in street clothes with like Embiid, and then he walks away. Oh no, actually, you're right. Evidence would show that it looks like one of the guys on the bench was wafting his hand in front of his face to clear the air before Ennis actually arrived. So Ennis innocent until proven guilty, but an alleged state caused some distress on the Sixers bench.
Yeah, if you look at the video, you can tell, exactly what's going on.
Probably not Ennis. That's pretty funny though. Quick happy birthdays to Frank Sweet Music Viola.
Oh, nice.
Gotta love that. Hey, Lord bless you.
Excuse me.
And Tim Curry. Tim Curry fan?
Tim Curry. Help me out.
Tim Curry from The Butler and Clue.
Oh.
Probably most famous for that stupid Rocky Horror Picture Show nonsense.
Never saw that, but I love Clue.
Like if you were like in the drama club or the AP club,
you knew who Tim Curry was?
You were like required to be like some super fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it's not like the worst thing ever. Don't get me wrong. It's just not like they make it out to like it's a huge cult classic, and then you can go see it. Remember when they had the movie theater over there on crap? I think it was the one on Power Island, and they would have like every now and again they have the midnight show on the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you would show up and you would like dress up like your characters, and like the people would like act out this movie while the movie was playing. You familiar with this whole concept?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, I sort of remember it.
Yeah, we were in high school. Like
yeah, it was like a thing.
People, like the drama kids would always want to go do that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Someone tried to get me to go one time, and I was like, I can either be like, I don't know, watching paint dry or sleeping or something. It's not that it was so unappealing.
It always felt intimidating to me.
There's some intimidation.
I'll tell you a quick story as we're getting out of here, because I know we got like a minute.
Yeah.
Similar, when I was living in Philadelphia and I was sort of adjacent to the improv scene, we all went up to New York for an improv festival, and I went and saw improvised Shakespeare with like a thing that was like people from like Saturday Night Live were at this. I mean, it was a big deal. And there were like 400 people in the audience, and they were doing improvised Shakespeare, and everybody was laughing their ace off. Ira, everybody in the room, except me. I didn't get it. Like, I don't know if it's because all these people knew Shakespeare like intimately, but I've never felt more out of place in my life, and that's exactly how I think I would have felt if I had gone to one of those nerdy Rocky Horror Picture Show things.
Jay, thank you very much. Have a good holiday weekend.
Bless you.
Adios, muchachos. Peace.
Trailblazer.
Yeah, I was told specifically, do not mention trail gangster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Or by who?